Operation Dwarka was a naval operation commenced by the Pakistan Navy to attack the Indian coastal town of Dwarka on 7 September 1965. This was the first use of Pakistan Navy in any of the Indo-Pakistan Wars. It was one of the significant naval events of the 1965 Indo-Pak War, and Pakistan celebrates the 8th of September as Navy Day. Pakistan claimed a psychological victory in Operation Dwarka, as the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965 broke out between India and Pakistan over Kashmir. Armies and air forces of both nations were involved in intense fighting in the Punjab region and in Kashmir. To relieve pressure on the southern front, Pakistan decided to use its navy in the war by launching a quick strike on Indian coast. The primary objective of the attack ostensibly was to destroy the radar station at Dwarka, which Pakistani naval intelligence believed had a Huff-Duff beacon to guide Indian bombers. Pakistani High Command also hoped to divert the operations of the Indian Air Force away from the north. Objectives. The mission objectives of Pakistan Navy are listed below. To draw heavy enemy units out of Bombay for the submarine PNS Ghazi to attack. To destroy the radar installation at Dwarka. To lower Indian morale. To divert Indian Air Force effort away from the north. The naval attack. On the night of 7 September, the Pakistan Navy launched its assault on western Indian shores. Dwarka was chosen for its proximity, its lower defenses and historical relevance. The plan called for a fleet of 7 naval vessels of Pakistan to bomb the tiny but significant town of Dwarka. It was aimed at luring the heavy ships anchored in Bombay into attacking the Pakistani ships. The intention was that the submarine PNS Ghazi lurking in the Arabian Sea would then engage and sink the Indian ships. Accordingly, a fleet of 7 ships comprising PNS Babur, PNS Karabar, PNS Badr, PNS Jahangir, PNS Alamgir, PNS Shah Jahan and PNS Tipu Sultan set sail for Dwarka and bombarded the town. The warships harbored in Bombay were under refit and were unable to sortie, nor did PNS Ghazi encounter the active combatants on the west coast. The objective to divert the Indian Air Force attacking Pakistan's southern front worked as the Indian Air Force raids on the city of Karachi's east, presumed by Pakistani sources to be due to lack of availability of the radar guidance to the IAF fighter jets, which was damaged in the attack. The Pakistan Navy celebrates September 8 as Navy Day. A frigate in Talwar was in nearby Oka port undergoing repairs and did not intervene. Radio Pakistan also transmitted that Dwarka listening post was destroyed. Naval Command. The following is the list of commanding officers of the Operation Dwarka. Commodore S.M. Anwar, OTC, Officer Commanding of Operation Dwarka. Captain M.A.K. Lodi, Officer Commanding of PNS Babur, the cruiser. Commander I.H. Malik, Commanding Officer of PNS Badr, the frigate. Captain A. Hanif, Officer Commanding of PNS Karabar, the destroyer. Commander K.M. Hussain, Commanding Officer of PNS Jahangir, the destroyer. Commander Iqbal F. Quadair, Commanding Officer of PNS Alamgir, the destroyer. Commander S.Z. Shamsia, Commanding Officer of PNS Shah Jahan, the destroyer. Commander Amir Aslam, Commanding Officer of PNS Tipu Sultan, the destroyer. Commander Karamat Rahman Niazi, Commanding Officer of PNS Ghazi, the submarine. Captain R.M. Aziz, Commanding Officer of PNS Dhaka, the tanker. Aftermath. Operation Dwarka was a significant naval operation of the 1965 war, considered by some as a nuisance raid or of little strategic value. The Ministry of Defense had issued written instructions which ordered the Indian Navy not to proceed 200 miles beyond Bombay nor north of the parallel of Porbandar. The lack of response by the Indian Navy to the attack on Dwarka led to questions being asked in Indian Parliament and was considered a humiliation by Indian citizens and Navy personnel and a challenge to be answered by others. The Chief of Naval Staff, Vice Admiral B.S. Soman, was restrained from retaliation for the Dwarka raid by the Defence Minister. Of the Indian Navy's 23 ships, 10 were under refit in Bombay, including the Vikrant, the cruiser Delhi, 3 destroyers and 2 frigates. An Indian source explained this by saying that the Indian government did not want to get into a naval conflict with Pakistan, but wished to restrict the war to a land-based conflict. The failure of Ind Talwar to retaliate, then undergoing repairs to her condensers in Oka, has been lamented by Indian Vice Admiral N. Krishnan, who said that no government would blame a warship going into action if attacked. PNS Ghazi continued to patrol Kash and Bombay coasts, spotting aircraft positions when snorkeling. The Dwarka raid is considered by Pakistani sources as being a prime reason for the Indian Navy's subsequent post-war modernization and expansion, with an increase in budget from Rs. 35 crores to Rs. 115 crores. The Dwarka raid, as per an Indian historian G. M. Hiranandani, led to the procurement of missile boats by the Indian Navy from the Soviet Union for the defense of Kutch. These were subsequently used by India in Operation Trident in the 1971 war. However, he attributes the expansion of the Indian Navy in the period 1965 to 1975 to the post-1962 planned expansion of the Indian Navy, with many ships being negotiated and purchased from the Soviet Union prior to the war. Popular culture. In 1998, Inter-Services Public Relations financed and produced the dramatization of the operation named Operation Dwarka, 1965, which was based on this incident. The film was directed by Pakistani film director Kashim Jalali and it was written by Hamid Kashmiri. Bibliography. Hiranandani. M. Transition to Triumph. History of the Indian Navy, 1965 to 1975. Lancer publishes. ISBN 9781897829721. Retrieved 12 May 2015.